All right. Good morning, YouTube. Instagram, good morning. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Julie Brower, member of the Older Adult Division. Super excited to be chatting with you guys today on Jerry on Ice Day. So, as per usual, let's talk about what courses the Older Adult Division has coming up. So, for the end of the month, so for the rest of February, there are two chances to catch us live. We will be in Maryland this coming weekend and then Illinois on the 18th. And then March is crazy. We are all over the country. So in March alone, we are in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Louisiana. Crazy. A lot of double and triple headers coming up with our division. We're so busy. We're so excited to be out there traveling completely across the country. So that's live. Our next online course is starting on March 1st. So tons of opportunities to catch us on the road or to hop into our online course. As you all know, that info lives on ptnice.com. Okay, our topic today. Working with couples and some tips and tricks when it comes to programming. So I absolutely love working with couples. I think it is so fun. It is wildly entertaining to experience the dynamic between the two individuals. You get to see this really awesome teamwork. You start to watch this accountability blossom and this competitiveness come out. It's so cool. I think it's way more fun than doing one-on-one. Many times, you can end up being this catalyst that sets their personal relationship up on the right track. Like it's so awesome to where you go to see them for a day and they tell you, "Hey, we both just felt like so good. We got dressed up and went out to dinner and had a date." It's so cool. It's so wonderful. And then last but not least, you are only giving one unit of your time to train, but you have the opportunity to charge more than one unit of your time. So there's a ton of benefits. However, what we're going to dive in today is how it can be very, very challenging to work with couples or partners, especially if their ability levels are vastly different. And for some reason, these are the couples that I continually work with. One individual moves really well, has awesome mobility, has pretty darn good strength, doesn't have any medical complexities on board. Conditioning is pretty good. And then the other partner has a lot of issues going on, range of motion, some prior injury, some pain. Their conditioning is really, really poor and they don't know left from right. It's like they were the last ones picked in gym class, 100%. So I I tend to find myself with individuals who are completely on opposite ends of the spectrum, but I love it because it makes it really challenging. So, what you have to remember is that your job is to increase fitness for both individuals. And in order to do that, when their abilities are so different, you have to get really creative. So, here are some tips that I learned, mostly from doing a lot of stuff wrong, that can help not only the partners be successful and get them fit, but it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience for them as well. So, number one, the very first thing that you have to do is you have to have the conversation with them. Like, hey, is it important that you two are doing relatively the same exercise, same type of exercise at the same time, right? Is it important that they stick together through your training sessions? Or do they not care And if one of them is on the ground, breathing heavy, like, I need a rest break, is the other partner like, okay, honey, you stay there. I'm running off to do my laps. And that doesn't matter. You have to know that, because if they don't care to stay together, your life is a lot easier and you can program kind of individually for what each needs and not worry about having to keep them together. But in the opposite situation, which is what I face a lot of the time, is that they want to do this training together. They want to stick together. One of the individuals does not want to be performing at such a high level than the other because they're worried about them being embarrassed. They don't want to do that to their partner. They want to stick together. So, when that is the case, what do we do? You want to 100% program your sessions to be time based versus like reps or rounds based. So, what I mean by that is that you're doing something like a 12-minute AMRAP versus 50 reps, 40 reps, 30, 20, 10 of different movements. And it's you finish when you finish. Because what's going to happen is that the individual who is way more fit is going to get through that 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 and be chilling. And then the other partner who's not as fit is going to be struggling and taking a significant amount of time to finish that workout. So now they feel uncomfortable. They're noticing that their partner is already done. So they're not feeling good. And then the partner is losing the stimulus, right? They're going to be getting a ton of rest. Maybe you have a second part of the workout planned or your session. They're getting all this rest, and maybe you don't want them to get rest because you want that heart rate to stay at a certain level. So 100% you want to be programming time-based versus reps and rounds based. That's going to solve a ton of problems if you just do it that way. Okay. Next, you want to stick with the same body part. So if you are programming these workouts and you know that you can't necessarily do two of the exact same exercise, at least try and keep it in the same ballpark of the same body part. Because then the movements will look somewhat similar and it won't be this vast difference of what one person is doing than the other person, right? So if one individual is really, really weak in a push-up, then one partner can do push-ups, the other individuals can do a tricep dip or a tricep extension, something like that. If squats are really strong in one individual, but the others can't, let's say there's some pain involved or in the low back or the knee or something like that, then one individual can do a squat, the other individual can do like a mini lunge. So you're keeping the body part the same, right? Or just upper body versus lower body, but you're just having a couple different options within that in case the same movement is not available for both. Because then at least you're hitting the same body part. You're hitting the same upper or lower quarter. Okay. Next, you can structure like a pacing type workout, but you can be crafty with it and you can be purposeful with it. And how I like to do this is structuring a pacing workout so one person ends up going out of sight during that round. So, why this is a good idea and why this works really well is, again, you have the more fit person, the less fit person. While the less fit person is working out, right? Or they're doing one movement, and the more fit person is, let's say, going off on a run, they have an opportunity to sprint. They can really get their heart rate up. They can work as hard as they want. They don't have to worry about the optics of their partner not doing as well because their partner is sitting back and they're doing some other sort of movement. And why that's nice for both is because now the less fit person, because their partner is going to be going through their rounds quickly, they're not doing the other movement for as long, right? So if the less fit individual is doing squats while the more fit individual is doing a jog down to the end of the driveway and back, more fit person's going to be hustling and getting that done. Less fit individual isn't going to be squatting as long. So it's a nice win-win there. And when the less fit person starts to go and do their jog, my goodness, if they have to stop, if they need a breath, if they need to walk a little bit, then at least like they're out of sight and they're not having to do it in front of their partner. And it's okay for their partner because their partner is obviously going to be having to work a lot more because it's going to take more time for their partner to get back. But it's okay because they have more fitness, so they're getting more work done. So it's a nice win-win there. Next, always play to both strengths. So you're going to have movements where one individual is really good at and an other individual is not. Make sure that you're programming both within the session. So they both get that opportunity to really crush it with a certain movement or be able to really increase the weight of a certain movement so that they both have that feeling of, man, that movement's mine. I'm awesome at that one. And they each have their own. So they both get that feeling. And think about this when you all like go into the gym and you look at the workout before and you're like, this one is every single one of my weaknesses. This is going to suck. Like, I know I need to do this because I need to improve on my weaknesses, but I'm not going to like this. I'm going to be the last one off that rower, right? Versus when you go in and you're like, oh man, it's a lower body strength day. We're doing sled pushing. This is me. I'm totally going to kick ass, right? But then when you have to go over to the block and you're doing a sprint on the bike or a sprint on the rower, you know that you're not going to do as well. But at least you have the opportunity to showcase your strength as well as your weakness. So make sure that you give the opportunity for both individuals to do something that they're really good at. Next, gamify and offer some playtime. We forget like that play is so important. And playfulness, when that starts to come out between couples, they could care less who is winning. They could care less how good or bad they're doing during the workout. They're just smiling, laughing, and having fun. So, to no one's surprise here, clock yourself is a really wonderful way to gamify and to get some fun and some laughs going. And why I love clock yourself is obviously there's a million variations, but when they're doing clock yourself, because cognitively they're trying to listen to the numbers and really pay attention to what they're doing, again, they do not care what the other individual is doing. They don't care at all. They're just focusing on trying to get those steps. So it doesn't become competitive at all. Like it could be if you were doing, rounds within a workout and you're doing certain movements. And then in terms of playfulness, just take out the strength movements, the business aspect that you're thinking. Like, yes, you're here to get these people fit, but my God, just let them play too. So that could just look like you're working on tandem stance, but you are throwing a ball back and forth, right? Something that involves a little bit of a sport can be really fun. I love doing like a loaded carry with one hand and then they're bouncing a basketball back and forth, or they're doing a loaded carry with one hand and they're tossing a ball back and forth as they're walking. Something like that where they just get this little bit of playfulness that can come out. If there's a playground, if you're going to someone's home in the neighborhood, getting them to get on the playground and use the playground equipment can be really, really fun. Just don't forget to add some playfulness. And then lastly, always have a regression option in your back pocket. So we always say in the MOA division that we are masters of scale. This skill is so, so important. So if you're programming and you want the individual to be doing squats for a certain amount of time. So let's say you're doing 30 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, and the movement is squats. And let's say that the individual cannot complete the squats for the entire 30 seconds. To avoid that feeling of they have to stop completely, and that could make them, they could lose some confidence. They could be a little bit embarrassed there. Just give them an alternative regression. So, hey, when you can't squat anymore, I want you to keep moving, but do standing marches instead, right? If you're doing a bridge plus a chest press and they get too fatigued to continue doing the chest press, just hold that weight with elbows extended above the head. Something like that. Okay, that's all I got for you. So to review, number one, make sure you are having the conversation. Is it important that they stay together during their workouts, or is it not? Always program for time-based versus reps and rounds-based. Stick with the same body part or movements that look similar, but have various options there if one of them cannot do the exact movement as the other. Structure a pacing type workout, but make it purposeful. So one person can be out of sight if they need to have a little bit of a rest. Allows the more fit individual to get more work, the less fit individual to kind of break if they need to without being watched. Make sure that you play to both strengths, and then find a way to gamify, add some playfulness, and always have a regress option. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will talk again soon.
Nice job.
The internet connection was fucked up.
The what?
The internet connection.